while the fearless lion keeps challenging the status quo of the impurities, imperialism, neocolonialism and shackles that have long kept the kingdom down from significant progress, the attention of the status quo is now channeled towards the head of the lion. Now what does this mean? Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 36-year-old Burkina Faso's president, has long ago challenged the status quo going on in Burkina Faso and Africa generally. Ibrahim Traoré believed that slavery in Africa ended a long time ago, but yet Africa is still held in bondage. So, in order to challenge these political games the West has been playing with Africa, he has put himself under several threats and assassination attempts. So far since taking office in 2022, he has faced over 18 assassination attempts and over 30 coup attempts to overthrow him from office, and another assassination attempt just happened, but glory to God, he survived it. But here is the deal: Ibrahim Traoré, despite being the youngest leader in Africa, isn't a child in tackling issues like this. He has over the time declared against those seeking for his skull that he is not and will never be afraid to die. Top African leaders like Muhammad Gaddafi of Libya, Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, who were silenced to death as a result of trying to challenge what seems normal in the society of where the West reap everything in their land through economic policies, while the indigenous people get little to no benefit, gives Ibrahim Traoré the zeal to keep fighting for freedom. But one may ask, how does someone face that kind of danger and still keep leading a nation in crisis? Stick around as we unpack Traoré's rise to power, the chaos in Burkina Faso, and why he's become such a polarizing figure. Let's start with the man at the center of it all, Ibrahim Traoré. Born on March 14, 1988, Traoré is a military officer who joined the Burkina Faso army in 2009. He trained at the Georges Namono Military Academy and even went to Morocco for anti-aircraft training. By 2014, he was a lieutenant and served in a UN peacekeeping mission in Mali, fighting in the ongoing conflict there. Fast forward to 2022, and Traoré was heading an artillery regiment in Kaya, a town in northern Burkina Faso. But that year, everything changed. In January 2022, Burkina Faso saw a military coup that ousted President Roch Kabore. The country was already in chaos. Jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State controlled 40% of the territory, and the government was struggling. A military junta called the Patriotic Movement for Safeguard and Restoration took over, led by Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. Traoré was part of this group, but by September 2022, he led a second coup to overthrow Damiba, accusing him of failing to tackle the security crisis. At just 36 years old, Traoré became the interim leader of Burkina Faso and the youngest head of state in the world. Traoré's rise to power wasn't just a military move, it was a statement. In his first speech, he declared a state of emergency, pointing to crises in security, defense, healthcare, and infrastructure. He promised to fight the jihadist threat and restore stability. Now, let's get to the jaw-dropping part, the assassination attempts. As of April 2025, Traoré has survived 18 assassination attempts in just 2 years. That's almost one attempt every 6 weeks. The latest attempt was reported on April 4, 2025, and it's clear that Traoré's leadership has made him a target. Think about that for a second. 18 times someone has tried to take this man out. That's not just a statistic. It's a sign of how volatile things are in Burkina Faso. But who's behind these attempts? Some speculate it's internal military factions like the ones who tried to overthrow him in September 2023. Others suggest it could be fellow Africans working for Western powers who don't like Traoré's anti-Western stance. After all, Burkina Faso has cut ties with traditional allies like the US and France, and Traoré has openly criticized foreign influence, so we won't be surprised if they are the ones behind this. Traoré's pivot toward Russia hasn't helped calm things down. In January 2024, Russian troops, including the Wagner Group, were deployed in Burkina Faso, a move that echoed similar Russian involvement in neighboring Mali. This shift has made Traoré a hero to some who see him as a Pan-Africanist standing up to the West, but it's also painted a target on his back. And let's not forget the jihadist groups. He's fighting a war on multiple fronts, and not everyone in his own military is on his side. To understand why Traoré's life is constantly at risk, we need to look at the bigger picture. The crisis in Burkina Faso. The Sahel region, where Burkina Faso is located, is one of the most unstable places on Earth right now. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, violent extremist groups like those linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State are growing stronger, controlling huge swaths of land. In Burkina Faso alone, 40% of the country is outside government control, and the humanitarian crisis is dire. Millions are displaced, and violence is a daily reality. Traoré inherited a mess, but his approach has been controversial. He's doubled down on using Burkina Faso's own forces to fight jihadists, rejecting offers from groups like the Wagner Group for a while, though he eventually let them in. He's also made bold moves, like turning down Saudi Arabia's offer in 2025 to build 200 mosques, saying the country already has enough. That decision didn't sit well with some, but it shows Traoré's focus on self-reliance. Still, the security situation hasn't improved much, and that's fueling discontent, both from civilians and within the military. Here's the kicker. Despite all this, Traoré is popular. A 2024 Afrobarometer survey found that 2/3 of Burkinabe accepted military rule, a huge jump from 24% in 2012. And at Ghana's presidential inauguration in January 2025, Traoré got the loudest applause out of 21 African leaders. But that popularity comes with a dark side. It reflects a growing tolerance for military rule across Africa, especially among the youth, which some experts find worrying. So, what's next for Ibrahim Traoré and Burkina Faso? His original plan was to stick to a transition timetable set by ECOWAS, the West African Regional Bloc, to return to democratic rule by July 2024. But Burkina Faso has since withdrawn from ECOWAS, and Traoré announced a new transition plan that could keep him in power until 2029. That raised eyebrows. Some see him as a strong leader fighting for his country, while others worry he's just another military ruler clinging to power. However, Traoré's survival, both literal and political, depends on a few things. First, his security team, which some users praised for doing a really good job. Second, his ability to tackle the jihadist threat and stabilize the country. And third, managing the international pressure. The US has already cut aid after the 2022 coup, and France has been pushed out, but Russia's growing influence could either be a lifeline or a new source of trouble. One thing is for sure, Traoré's story is far from over. In the media, reactions to Traoré's latest assassination attempt varies, ranging from prayers for his safety to criticism. But whatever the case may be, Traoré remains a symbol of both hope and controversy in Burkina Faso. That's all for today's deep dive into Ibrahim Traoré and the wild story of his leadership in Burkina Faso. What do you think? Can Traoré turn things around, or is he in over his head? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories like this. Until next time, stay out of trouble.